we'll have this discussion.
Discussion? What discussion?
This is a discussion combustion.
Coming to you from Denver, Colorado, this is Discussion Combustion Podcast with your hosts, Kevin Batstone and Arthur Raw.
Beautiful people of the world, welcome back. Discussion Combustion. We got Resolute Ballroom with us. Super excited for this one. We met these guys outside by the fountains a couple months ago, and time's been flying. You guys are here. It's time to do it. It's time to talk.
Playing Pokemon.
Doing Pokemon, yeah. That's what you guys were doing when we met, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that it is. Yeah. We don't leave that fountain very often, so I'm surprised we didn't meet you earlier.
Yeah. I know. I'm surprised too. We're out there all the time. I mean, we transitioned the roof a little bit, but what a beautiful spot, though, to do some Pokemon chasing.
Yeah, it was great. It was hot, so.
Pokemon Go, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I've never done it before. I did geocaching. I did a little bit of that.
Okay, so similar.
I used to do that as well.
You find like the cool little capsules and there's notes and stuff in there.
People that have been there before you.
Kind of a fun idea.
That's
I
cool.
do like that idea. I did that a lot when I got back from New Zealand.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Pokemon Go. I think it's a cool concept. Yeah. And one of my favorite things about hearing about Pokemon Go, this building that we record out of here in DTC is a gym. It's a Pokemon gym.
Yes,
Hot
it
spot.
is.
Yeah. It is. Well, that's why we came over here. There's like different stops and gyms and like this whole like the park and everything. That whole thing is chock full. So it's great.
I'm currently defending you guys with one of my Pokemon, just so you guys know.
Yeah,
We
he's
appreciate
defending the honor of the building.
So Pokemon Gym, what does that mean? Like this is like a rest spot. This is where they pump it up. There's just a lot going on. This is where they.
It's just like you can get coins, like a daily amount of coins, from leaving your Pokemon in the gym to defend, and then they're both red team, I'm blue team, and so when I join a gym and they're around, they'll take it over right off the bat, and so I don't get any Pokemon coins.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like a small little village. Like it's what color has taken over like the village, and then they have like their Pokemon in there to protect it, and then you go in and you try to defeat all the Pokemon so you can take it over for your team, essentially. So like capture the flag, kind of thing. I don't know.
But
it's really cool.
It's like the spawn points of like different Pokemon than for doing raids. So it's not just like they'll have a special event kind of Pokemon that you then battle so you can catch it. And then there's all these other apps now you can go on where you can invite people. You'll just say, hey, I've got a raid going on here. People friend request you, and then you invite them. So you could be, like I've gotten invites for a raid in Japan or in Singapore.
Oh, that's fun.
And so you can catch Pokemon all over the world because there are certain regional ones that are only available through a raid in that area.
Huh.
Exactly.
So you can get Pokemon Go to sponsor you guys now.
It's a very global community. It's really cool.
It's been around for a little bit. I remember people talking. I just never understood it.
2016, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so like 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never done it. And so, I mean, you walk around with the app, almost like Google Maps, but it's like a map of what's happening, and it kind of shows you what's going on. So, I mean, how do you capture the Pokemon?
You have like your little Pokeball, and so if you see people standing there going like this, that means they're trying to get a Pokemon. But you have a little Pokeball, and you spin it, and you throw it, and you
flick the ball on a curve.
and it catches it like in the show.
I always thought people were just maybe playing golf.
Yeah, but that's what you do. If you're watching people like going like that or tapping their phones a lot, that's what they're doing.
Saturday or Sunday once a month, and you see just a lot of people randomly, like more than normal, out in the park. It's probably a community day.
But not talking to each other.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's key. We all know what we're doing.
Yeah,
we know while we're there.
So it's like it's kind of a social event, but not really.
It's good for introverts, where it's like we know we're being social, but like we don't actually have to have a conversation about it.
I'm just going to bring this a little bit in for Hugh.
Oh, sorry.
The Hubert.
There you go.
We're going to talk a lot.
Use that diaphragm.
Hey, you guys are the first three wide on the show, so we're kind of running with it.
You're helping us pioneer our engineering skills here, and refining.
I don't think there needs to be any kind of change.
It's perfect.
I got plenty of room over here.
That was dangerous. You were brave.
And so it's so awesome to hang out with the three of you though, because you're obviously very comfortable with each other, siblings, and then we also have a husband.
Yes.
And you.
To that one.
Yes, that's good. And it's cool because through dance you kind of you've made a dance studio, Resolute Ballroom.
Yeah.
And that is off of like Arapahoe and I-25 area.
Yeah, by the 1-Up.
Yeah. Right by 1-Up. And so how did it all start? Like, where did the dancing start? Like, was it back in childhood or?
You should start that because you're kind of
okay. Yeah, so I'm the longest dancer here.
Are you? Never mind. Because we're the Longs. Never mind. I'm so sorry. Whoops.
So I started with a studio called TG Danceport. That's not too far from here at all. It's right across Bellevue there. But I was starting there with a girlfriend at the time who knew that I wanted to start taking dance lessons. But I didn't really ever clarify what kind of dance lessons I wanted to take, which is on me, sure. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, though, it was like hip-hop, pop and lock, like some more current, modern-type dancing kind of stuff. I mean, now that I'm in ballroom, I realize how current ballroom actually is. But so she, for my birthday, she bought us a special to TG Danceport. And the owners of the studio at the time were transitioning. They were losing one of the male instructors there, so they were looking for other male instructors who were not very common.
Okay.
So to get single guys to dance is rare, and then to get them as instructors is even more rare. So they jumped at the opportunity to train me, and then I signed a contract to work for them afterwards for a specific amount of time. And then they came in, her and her husband Keith came in for their wedding. I was working with another instructor, a female instructor, who was also leaving at the time.
And this was 5 years
before
ago.
the wedding.
So he started.
Yeah. She left a month before their wedding. Luckily, I had worked with this other instructor on quite a bit of their choreography, so I knew it pretty well. And so then I was obviously the backup for their lessons, so I started teaching them, and then they kept taking lessons after their wedding for another 2 years, something like that, a year. Mm-hmm. And then I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, so, I mean, and to be clear, he started this dancing when he was 19. So, I mean, he's been doing this for 14 years at this point. And then Mego and Keith, their wedding was 5 years ago last week. They just had their 5-year wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
And then, so that was 2017 when they got married. And then in January 2018, I moved out to Denver. Megan and I both grew up dancing, doing tap, jazz, ballet, that sort of thing. But it had been years. And they said, you should come to the studio. You should start dancing. I needed to, like, a pick-me-up. It was kind of a rough patch. Mm-hmm. And they said, we have this great teacher. His name's Hugh. He's so cool. And you should come and take lessons. And I said, okay. So I went in, same thing, that same intro that he did, the same intro that she did, and started taking lessons with him. And
Valentine's Day group class.
It was Valentine's Day that I actually started. It was Valentine's Day. You gave everyone a Valentine that day.
Yours was special.
It was special. But it was actually great because he had nerd. I mean, he had like these little boxes of Nerds, and it is one of my favorite candies. And so then I started. But what's interesting is that he had actually was considering leaving the business at that point.
Yeah.
He had given a notice.
Literally on my way out. Yeah,
he was like almost at. He had given like a year notice. He was coming up on that year and was just looking and thinking that he needed to maybe try something else. So he saw me and was like, cool, you can be my replacement, essentially.
Exactly. Not essentially.
That's what
100% what I thought, what went through my mind.
So within the first couple of lessons, he said, well, you're in you just moved out here. Would you be interested in maybe teaching? And I said, yeah, I'd always wanted to be a teacher, and I love dancing. So he recommended me to our bosses. They interviewed me and offered me a job. I got started, and there we go. And that's that.
So that's when we got started dancing. The reason the way that we started the studio. So COVID hit, and we were trying to figure out how to continue with the dance studio with us and our bosses, because at that time it was just us four.
Yeah.
Everyone else was gone. I mean, students obviously were still there, but staff-wise, everyone else was gone. So.
And then Shay.
Yeah, so then Shea Properties, they own our building there. They are developing a high-rise kind of thing with retail stores on the bottom, kind of thing.
At Marina Square.
So then we were kind of forced to leave that building, and we were just in a position. Terry and Gary, the owners of TG Danceport, weren't all that interested in signing another 5, 7, 10-year lease.
It's a pretty long lease.
Yeah.
It is.
They want to keep teaching. They didn't want to shut the business down, but they're going, we've been doing this for over 20 years.
Looking to kind of tone it down a little bit.
We're not interested in being on the hook
Yeah.
for something.
Terry and Jerry, huh?
Gary.
Gary.
Yeah, TG dance sport.
TG.
And so then we decided ultimately to start looking for a place of our own. And then it turned into, we found this place on Arapahoe, and at this point we didn't have a whole lot of time before they were kicking us out. So when we found the place, I think it was February, and we had to be out by June 1st.
Yeah, and in terms of looking at a place of our own, we knew that Terry and Gary didn't want to do that. So we're like, okay, so how can we like take the mantle essentially,
Yeah.
and kind of help out and be like, okay, let's try and find something. So it all ended up working out because we, said, okay, we found the space, and it's actually a space that they had looked at as well, and yeah, that was in January. We had to be out by June.
So we started negotiations in February, and
and so we purchased part of the business from them.
So we purchased probably about half or so of their client list. So they could keep the students that they were working with currently. We could keep the students that we were working with currently. And then they just rent floor space from us now, which works out amazingly for everybody. Everybody's super happy.
Or at least it seems like it. So far, so good.
Yeah, we're all acting
Yeah,
very
knock on
happy.
wood there, right?
Yeah, but it was nice to be able to take the whole dance family over because that was one of the biggest concerns for all four of us. And I mean, for Hugh and I, it was really important to make sure that everyone felt. I mean, Terry and Gary have put a lot into this industry and this business. They've done a lot for us, and so it was really important for us to.
Bought me my first suit.
Bought him his first suit.
Ooh.
Yeah, his first set of collared set of collared shirts
Actual
and all.
dress clothes, not like Walmart brand pleat pants kind of thing.
Yeah, we call them our dance parents, but it was really important to us, and so in that, and then we were able to, I mean, the students, I mean, there's the natural attrition that's happened because natural attrition happens from events and that sort of thing, but we were able to keep the whole family together, so all the students came over and were able to stay. It's close, obviously, so we're really happy with, I mean, it worked the absolute best it possibly could, but we signed our lease in at the end of April, like April 30th, and we had to be open on June 1st.
Right, and so we didn't actually get keys to the place until
beginning of May
5th, something like that. So we had like 3 weeks to get this thing ready. So
to put floors in, paint it, get it all ready to go.
So we scraped the old floors with like these little foam things because it used to be a yoga studio.
Okay.
And come to find out that one of our students actually.
Two of our students used to take yoga there.
Used to do yoga.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So they just like showed back up one
Pretty
time and like,
much.
business
Yeah,
had
they're like,
changed.
yeah, I know
Like,
exactly.
they're like, this is
They're like,
cool,
yeah, we know
whatever.
where we're going.
Location
We'll
works.
go with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, but we had like 3 weeks to put it together, and we did it. We put floors in. Yeah, we're gonna do a remodel this winter, and
yeah. So the remodel this winter is exciting because we'll be able to combine the two small ballrooms into a bigger ballroom. So we'll be more.
we'll have over 2,000 square feet of dance floor, so that's incredible.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures on Instagram where you guys put some stuff up.
Thank you. Yeah, I just posted
thank
new
you.
pictures today.
So that looked
Yeah.
kind of cool. It kind of got like a live look on what's going on in there. I mean, it looks good.
Cool.
Thank
It's
you.
like there's a lot of room to roam.
Yeah.
So
I know.
that's terrific.
I was like, oh, our old pictures are like when we first moved in. It's all set like very sparse because there wasn't anything in there. So I took pictures with like the decorations and the mirrors and all that.
It's like
today.
when people buy a house and they're kind of house poor, so they have like a lawn chair and a TV in the living room instead of a couch and like
That's how
a
it
coffee
felt.
table. And
You
stuff.
got
That's
to
kinda
start
how we
somewhere,
work.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, right now, because I did a move recently, and I gave my ex everything when I left that whole scenario, and so I've been sleeping on like an air mattress for like the last week. It's on a frame, like on the box spring and everything, so it's
Fancy, classy.
but it's
Perfect.
like I just hadn't had time to like go in there and get a mattress yet. You know,
yeah.
so it's like sometimes we can all make do with the minimum in life,
Yeah.
and it can totally go off. Mego though, I know that we had a great conversation because we all met prior to this.
Yeah.
And you were talking about
We met on this show.
yeah,
That has happened.
It
Oh, really?
has.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go. Okay.
It has. And so you like working kind of like project management on the side beyond dancing.
Yep.
I'm sure, like, did you play a major role in the renovating and everything? Get your hands dirty or?
Nope.
Yeah.
She's too busy.
Nope.
She was incredible, though, I have to say. What Megan did, and I have a great picture of her, is we went to Citron Bistro before Zane's took it over.
Yeah.
And we were looking through the lease, and Megan was so instrumental in reading our lease for us, pointing out places that we needed, because she reads contracts all day. So I've got this great picture of her. We're sitting at the dinner table.
Can we
She's
put
got
the
a
picture up
pencil in
on
her mouth.
screen?
I don't even know where it is right now, but I know I have it. And she has her laptop, and she's sitting there with the paperwork and all that. And so she was absolutely instrumental in our negotiation process and looking through the lease. I mean, she was absolutely incredible. It was so helpful because I'm like, I mean, I'm a smart person, but this stuff is so hard to read, and she's just
so
used to reading.
quick at it.
Then she's like, oh, I just read 60 pages, and we're like, I'm on page 5. Like, what
Right?
do you mean?
I've
So
been
she just,
reread page 2 so many times.
yeah, but she handled it,
yeah.
so she was absolutely instrumental in that part of the process. It was fantastic.
So it's knowing the strengths
she's
and
good at.
everything. But we had Hugh, Q1, and
Yeah, his dad.
our dad. So we had
I'm the second
good support.
Hugh.
He's the second Hugh, but of like kind of boots on the ground, working through all of that. But,
Yeah, like our dads are the ones who did the remodel,
Yep.
so they took care of
I had a
that.
couple friends that helped out.
Yeah, they were great.
Especially when we got the
Floors.
the flooring in. We were supposed to unload it because they didn't have anybody, like a crew that came with the delivery. So these are like 12-foot
75
sections,
pounds.
and each section's, it felt like more than 75 pounds, but
Yeah.
probably because it's just 12 feet long and you're not going to hoist 75 pounds that, extend 6 feet past you on either direction on your shoulder. But that was fun. Everybody got blisters.
Yeah. Well, and just to like honestly wrap up like the origin story too, what I always want to mention is give her mother-in-law major props because
Yeah.
really the reason we all met is because Keith's mom said, son, you need to learn how to dance for your wedding. So I bought you this intro special. You need to get your butt in the dance studio and you need to dance with your wife. So
That's
because
awesome.
of that, we
Led to a marriage.
Yep.
a new business,
A second marriage.
two marriages, a new business,
business.
and everything like that. So I always
Lots
want to
of
give
potential.
Debbie props because she
Yep.
really is the one that like actually created this whole thing, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
Shout out Debbie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Way to go, Debbie.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's tremendous.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it all comes back to friends and family.
Yep.
Something I say a lot on the show. Friends and family make you the richest man or woman or whatever. It sounds like with your business included. You had your friends step in, and you had your dads were involved with the remodel process, and that's
It's been a
There's
team
will,
effort.
there's a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of air mattresses, we actually have an air mattress in our office as our couch because we're going to remodel. So I didn't want to buy a couch, but I like to take naps, and especially if I'm there all day, I want a place that I can just not be sitting in my office chair and take a nap. So I got like a twin air mattress, and I'm trying to make it look like a couch, like I have it covered and stuff. I mean, it looks like an air mattress, but that's going to be our couch until we remodel. People walk in, they're like, "Oh," I'm like, no one else comes in here. It's just mine. No one.
Bed in there. I don't want to ask. No,
It's just for naps, I swear.
naps.
But yeah, I mean, I have an air.
Naps.
That's our couch right now is our air mattress, so it's fine.
So one thing that I've kind of liked about it, and not to cut you off, Kev.
No.
I was just going
but
to piggyback up naps.
It was super firm. like I filled up this air
We'll get back
mattress
to that.
all the way, and it was like extremely firm. And I haven't been refilling it, and I feel like I'm testing out like where is my mattress like
Yeah.
firmness level at, because I actually like it when it's a little more deflated, I feel like. And so maybe I'm not I always kind of thought I was maybe a firm mattress type of guy, but now I'm thinking,
Your sleep number is a 60.
you think I'm 60?
It's a 60.
Now you're starting.
Kevin's special talent. He just, like,
No,
looks at
so
I
you're
know your
like,
sleep number.
That guy's a 13 for sure.
Yeah, this guy over here, that's a 47.
So is it
Cool
like,
setting.
is it like 100 is the most firm?
100 is firm. I'm a 75.
Wow.
75.
I
Huh?
have no idea. I've never
I like to
tried
be.
it.
I'm like a 3/4.
Like on a plank. You just
Yeah,
sit.
yeah, it's
Just
nice.
sleep on the concrete, man.
I mean, that'd be the
People
100.
do that.
That's
That's
too
fair.
hard. That's way
fair.
too hard. That hurts my hip.
It does when it's too far. That I get that same way.
I'm
It
okay
hurts
a
my
couple
hips
nights.
too.
I think it kind of like realigns you a little bit.
You think?
When
Like sleeping on the floor?
mattress is
If you
even
just
more
lay
firm.
on your back, maybe.
Well, that's
if,
true
if
too.
you go
It's
on the
not
sides,
comfortable
like you
to
got to
move
get like a
around.
pillow and like
can't
try
do
to
my
straighten
You
it
gotta
out.
get creative for sure.
I can't sleep on my back. Snore.
Use the cat or the dog, whatever.
Yeah.
Does your snoring wake you up?
Yeah, I don't like that because
Your own snoring will wake
Yeah,
you up?
because it alarms me a little
Yeah.
bit. I'm like, well, what was that? It was me the whole time. So I
There's
don't.
someone in my house.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh shit. And there's a joke about that. I don't know if I ever. I mean, it's a little inappropriate, but yeah, we're all adults here, right?
Yeah.
We're
Thought of
18
it
plus here.
appropriate.
The reason men snore when they lay on their back.
Oh God, I know this.
Do you know it?
Yes.
You want to
Why?
finish the punchline?
Why do men snore when they lay on their back?
Thank you.
Because their balls are covering their asshole, and it ruins
Creates
that.
vapor lock.
It, vapor lock.
I
Yeah.
love it.
So
That's
there's
hysterical.
got to be some truth to it, I think.
You know.
Alternative sound, I suppose.
But now we're getting misguided. 'Cause snoring. I mean, I don't think
Been
snoring
misguided.
relates
That's
to
why we're on the
dancing. I don't think.
It doesn't matter. It's okay.
That's good.
It's all right. It's breathing. Breathing's important in
Yeah,
dancing.
I guess that's a good
So
point.
that's really important.
I found a feature
Yes.
on my watch that it was like, oh, if you snore, it will record you.
I'm like, don't do that. I don't
And I'm
want
like,
that.
I don't want
I don't
that.
want you recording.
How
You don't wanna
dare
hear
you
that.
do that to
I want to hear
anyone?
the noises.
I've seen like the Whoop bracelets or whatever it is. Is that what it is?
A
Whoop,
Whoop?
Whoop.
I think I've heard of those.
It's like a detailed sleep measure. It'll tell you like how many times you repositioned, how many times you snored, how many times you maybe did farting. Whatever happens throughout the night, it'll record it.
Do farting quite often.
I fart a lot.
I feel like most people do.
Because they don't know, so it's not like anyone's trying.
I wish my mom listened to this show. She doesn't listen too much, and that's quite all right.
Come on, Art's mom.
But one thing that she told me recently,
come on, Louise,
is that like she maybe farts like 2 to 3 times a year.
Wait a minute.
Is she okay?
And I was like, Ma. I was like, there's no way. I mean,
Does she eat?
She eats very healthily.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, but I feel like that makes it.
And she still
more
has beer and stuff. Maybe she's trying to like keep that. Like trying
2
to
3
like
times a year of flatulence.
Yeah,
she's keeping it like you're my son. I'm not going to tell you because that's.
It almost seems like
that's probably what it was.
It seems like a health concern.
It seems like she should go talk to a doctor. That's very dangerous.
I mean, anytime you meet someone new. I mean, I got IBS, so I always tell like people when they get to know me, like you're gonna have to deal with me farting. I might have already farted on this episode yet. I don't even know, but it happens a lot.
It's a surprise to me
It's
too.
not that big of a deal.
So like when I start dating a girl, or whatever, I'm like, I pass a lot of gas, and it might not smell very good. But at least I'm honest about it, so I'm not going to surprise you, because you can't hold that in. We've all been there in those awkward positions where you hold it in all day and then everything's just bubbling around.
No, if you do that, it will actually escape through your breath and your sweat. Like if you keep holding it in
through your breath.
Yeah, if you keep holding in your flatulence, then eventually it will start coming out of other areas of your body via burps, breathing, your pores. And so just let it go. You just got to let it go.
Go outside.
Just do your best to,
take a phone call.
Be
And
polite to other people, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Crop dust the whole office.
Yeah.
Totally fine. Nobody knows you did it, except you're the only one that walked past 17 people in the last 30 minutes. So.
Yeah, I guess there is a courtesy there too, because you don't want to stink people out.
Sure.
That's what's tough about this setup, because like we have that fan over there, and so if anybody does farting in that region, everybody gets a whiff of it.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I'll keep that in mind.
Yes. Yeah. When you want to leave us a present, that's where you do it.
Wonderful.
We'll do it after the episode. Perfect. Like, why don't episode not come out? That's
it's
so
like
weird.
mid up. He's like, oh, excuse me. He like just walks to that side of the room.
Just give me a minute.
When I'm back, everybody gets to enjoy it.
No, it's fun to.
You got to train your body. You got to train your body. Like you guys do dancing, so you got to be out on the floor, and like we podcast for over an hour, so you got to hold your urination, maybe your flatulence, maybe hiccups, burps, whatever. The body's going to do things, and it's like how do we deal with that and still carry on with our business? I think that's kind of a learned task a little bit.
So what's dating etiquette on all this? Because I'm a single man for about a year now, and the dating game has changed since I was out there last, right? Substantially.
Sure.
Good for you, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh well, thank you. And it's been such a good time. I've been having a blast. But is it like? And I guess it just depends on the person. But like, how many dates until it's appropriate to like feel comfortable with your natural bodily functions? Like, what would you say?
What was just talking about?
Like, how many dates?
For me, it's usually like maybe the second.
It's the second for you.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're going to be with me for the long haul, like we got to get this out of the way.
Well, and you've had the conversation about it, so it's also just like, hey, this is, I have a condition that I need to deal with, and if you're going to be a jerk about it, then well, obviously this isn't going to work. So it's a good test for you too. But I mean, I don't know. It's like that we were talking about. It's like be respectful. At least like I think there's a difference between being overt and like crass about it, and which people can do, and just being like, bodies do stuff. I mean, I don't care. Like, and it is interesting because like with dancing, we're
in each other's business
all constantly, and so you just become very numb in a way, and just it's not even numb, but it's more of an understanding. Like we are human. We have bodies. Bodies do things, and I don't know.
It's funny.
First date. Frankly, if that happened and it was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. It's like whatever. It's what your body does. It's like kind of the thing.
Yeah.
It's not like you turned around and were like, that's a little weird. Like, don't do that. I wouldn't like turn around and be like, hey, you want to hear something? Pull my finger.
Pull my finger.
Pull my finger.
Exactly.
Like pull dad, pull my finger, which is different.
That's definitely not an icebreaker.
Like, it's funny
it's not the right one.
No.
In lessons, sometimes you'll see like a member of whatever couple you're teaching kind of back away and be like, oh, can you show me that again? And they're like, 15 feet away from what they're trying to show you, and you're like, got it, okay, I got your back. Let me demonstrate this like 6 times, and then we'll walk over to this corner of the room.
Or even like teaching, be like, go try that. Let me see it. I'm gonna watch.
Right.
Go try that out. It's like when we were out. Where did we went to Pueblo State Park, and we were in the reservoir, and we kept being, like you just swim away, and be like, courtesy break, bye, and you just swim away for a little bit. Like, just as long as it's not upstream, you're fine.
To do urination?
Yeah.
See, I'm not good at that. I can't do it when I'm submerged.
I can't either.
I can do it
must be
into
a chick
the
thing.
water, but I can't do it while I'm in the water.
Right.
I could do it in the water.
It's just weird. I don't know.
There's some kind of block.
It's actually
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a
You think
something's
it's a
gonna get-
propulsion method when you're swimming.
I need to practice apparently.
Impressive.
Why are they moving so fast? Oh.
Yeah,
Just like,
Olympics. Right there.
no matter how bad you got to go, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I used to be able to do it when I was driving down the road into like a Gatorade bottle. I can't do that anymore. Things have just gotten a little more complicated.
I've actually tried that.
Yeah, like
It's not
road,
easy.
road trips, you know.
Imagine.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
If you do it, you honestly, if you're in the car and you need to do it in like a Gatorade bottle, and you're a guy, I can't speak for the ladies out there, but you almost want to like 180 in your seat. So then you're like
You're
kind
driving.
of. Oh, you're driving.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
While
was thinking
driving?
I was a passenger.
While driving,
probably a bad
There
idea.
must be a
I
law
thought I was
against
a
that.
passenger.
peeing while
That
driving.
is 90,
Has to be.
no 180.
He's got a PUI right there.
Yeah, I've never a PUI. Oh my gosh. No, I've
Imagine
never
that for
tried
officer.
it while driving.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Like if you're a passenger and you're in the
Yeah.
back seat, like whatever, you can probably pull it out. But if you're driving,
Yeah.
like I think my brother's a pro at it. He's a truck driver, so he's
Oh,
got
well, you
really
gotta
good
be.
at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, how do you do it, Matt? And he's like, you just let it go.
You just
But
have to,
I
otherwise
can't
it's
do
going to
it.
go all over your seat. So
Yeah.
it's about, you don't have any options at that point.
I'd rather just pull over and maybe pee by a cactus or something.
How long has he been a truck driver for?
Long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been pulling trailers for almost like 20 years.
Wow.
Does he do like cross
good
country and
money.
that sort of thing?
No, he's dedicated now. He started that way, and now he just runs like Phoenix to Tucson
Oh, okay.
Nice.
every night.
Okay.
Yeah, he loves it. I mean, good money. Truck drivers, I mean, art's in the business. You know, he does logistics. Like
Yeah.
people, they can't hire truck drivers. I mean, they can't get guys to pull
tough
product.
job.
It is.
And it's kind of lonely too.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'd be like check calling a driver, seeing if they're on time for an appointment or something, and then they would just try to continue to talk to me.
Start chatting.
And generally when that happens, I'd pick up on it and be like, all right, like
They're lonely.
I'm gonna shoot
give
the
them-
shit with them for a little bit, But then I got to get on to the next call. Like
Yeah.
usually my hang up method, and this isn't just in logistics, but just in general. Like if
So
I,
we need to know.
Yeah.
So now take note.
yeah, it's just like, oh shit, I got another call. Sorry, I got to go. This is important. And then you just like, oh sorry, I got to go, and you just make it quick.
Yep.
Like a
So
Band-Aid.
take note, everybody.
Another good one is that your phone's low on battery.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
use that one because I talk to a lot of people that just want to keep talking. I'm like, I'm at 3%. Like, sorry if I lose you. You know,
My
that's a
phone
good way
is
to end
usually
it.
low on
Click.
battery. That would actually be accurate.
It could
but-
die at any minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Then you
never
just plan it where you're in the middle of a
And you just
long
hang up.
sentence and you just press the end button.
Yeah.
So one thing I'm going to kind of shift gears here. That I thought was interesting when I was talking to you, Megan, aka Mego,
Mego, yeah.
and it was the elevator business being the highest injury / death toll rate for an industry underneath like roughnecking and oil production. That fact has not, like, I think about it every time I hop on an elevator now.
Yep.
That's crazy. I did
You
not.
know?
I didn't.
I
Yeah,
did
we
not
have
know
some of the
that.
highest, unfortunately, fatality and injury rates. It can range for very simple injuries to very catastrophic. But yeah, it's wild that just thinking about every day with your elevator. If there's one down, there could be a mechanic who's working on the car top in the pit, and
If
it's
something happens.
yeah, if something happens. So it's definitely a different way of thinking when you're like, annoyed if the elevator's running slow or if it's down, or you see like any of the gates or anything blocking, especially for escalators. People are really, it's great. I love it when I see people look over the barricades or like want to look, because people are curious and naturally curious, but at the same time it's like, just make sure you don't lean on the barricade. It's there for a reason, for everybody's safety, and make sure if you're leaning over, like, make sure stuff doesn't fall down, like, just kind of keep it. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting industry, different mindset.
And it's like an amazing feat of engineering. The building I moved into has 24 floors, and these elevators are like really fast. Like they go up and down pretty quickly, and I've just kind of been appreciating that more. Like thinking about how they operate, how fast they move. Like it's kind of like a feat of engineering and like counterbalancing. Is that like, because they have like the weight that goes down to like bring the elevator up, or they pull the weight up? Is it the weight that does the moving basically?
Pretty much. There's certain controls, within it. It has the brain and everything, so it will tell you when to stop. But yeah, it's just purely of basics of physics weight, counterweight, and if things shift slightly, it can cause issues. There's additional safety devices, like the whole thing. We get a lot of call-outs for different universities, where a whole bunch of drunk kids or drunk 21-year-olds, downtown, where everyone thinks, oh, let's jump.
On the elevator?
Everyone, please don't.
Yeah.
I just ask you.
PSA,
please don't. PSA,
don't
please don't. Because it's actually called, it's loadware. And so we set the elevator up where it knows a certain amount of weight has entered the elevator. So it's like, these are my people. I'm going to transport them safely to the next location. But when people jump, the elevator goes, I lost my people. I'm not at my destination. And then when you land, it's not just your weight. You still have also the inertia,
Right,
your
gravity.
additional weight from gravity. And so then the elevator will shut off. And then that's when people get stuck in the elevators. And then everyone panics.
So usually if people are getting stuck in elevators, it's because they were fucking with it.
Sometimes, a lot of times that elevators are broken it's with human error.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that the most common, do you think? Is it like the main reason why it's down?
There's
For
going to be mechanical
jumping,
failures, probably.
There's mechanical. There's some older elevators out there. We're working our darndest to get them upgraded and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, people jumping, holding the doors open for a while when you're moving. You start hearing the buzz, like, meh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a safety measure because it wants to make sure someone isn't stuck in the doorway.
And so if it's still held open, it'll stop.
It will stop and it will shut the elevator down. So there are a lot of different safety parameters. But yeah, it's crazy how quickly they can go because your elevator is probably a 300 foot per minute. And you're
it's
like
quick. It's
probably
like
275, 300 probably.
It's fast.
That's pretty
I
cool.
don't know if for sure, but
It's a lot faster than the one here at this building.
yeah.
The one
Even
in
this
your
one's
in
not
your
bad.
place is.
Yeah.
I was on the World Trade Center 2 weeks before it collapsed. I was there on the end of August of 2001.
Wow.
And we went up there. We were on the top floor, 111 stories. And I just remember getting that elevator, and we were 111 stories in maybe 38 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That thing ripped tater chipped. It took us to the top. And, in 2001, let's see, I would have been about maybe 12 or 13. But I still remember, how cool that was. And then 2 weeks later, they came down, which was also very alarming and a huge, terrible thing that's happened, the staple of the American history. But I've never been on a building since that has an elevator that goes 111 stories.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And one interesting of the tragedy and everything is that actually it gave a new code was developed from there of having elevators that are dedicated for emergency evacuation.
Oh, really?
For a certain amount of rise, they're dedicated and they are then used for evacuating. So it's occupancy.
And that came from the 9/11 deal?
That makes sense
I didn't know that.
It's amazing.
with what was
111
happening in
stores.
those stairwells and stuff. And
Everyone was trying to run
yeah.
down the stairs.
Yeah.
And they,
And then
So
some
it
people try
will
to-
continue going,
Yeah, so, and I know we'll go all into fun code stuff, but it is of having of a certain rise that it'll be a dedicated emergency occupancy evacuation. No matter what, still trying to take the stairs in case of fire. In Colorado and Denver, we don't really hit that. We don't have too many
High rises.
high rises as much that hit that, but it is.
So I don't think that's here.
So yeah, not so much here. There are a few in. For the life of me, of course, the code. I know everyone. If I have any elevator folks, they're probably gonna be like, "It's in this one. I think it's 180 feet
Just
of
read
rise."
the comments later. You'll be fine.
It'll be fine. That's usually what happens. But if you do go to the new, was it the One World Trade of the new building? Those things are
Those are really cool. I wasn't.
Bitchin'.
I'd
Really?
rode in that.
of elevator nerding.
in the New World Trade Center?
They're so cool.
You guys went?
Yeah.
I've been there.
I've not been there.
And they have this really incredible story where it basically shows you in the elevator the story of the development of Manhattan, of the island in New York City and everything like that. And you're watching this and it's all the walls and the floor. It's absolutely incredible, and it's moving
so
quickly.
cool.
It's fascinating.
Did you guys go to the old one?
I had
No.
not been to the
Okay.
old one.
No,
Or
'cause
the
I was
original,
in-
I should say.
no.
The OG.
Yeah, no. But the new one is really incredible.
Yeah.
It is really cool.
well, it's just interesting because elevators are such a huge part of everybody's life. And it's one of those technologies that just you don't really think about. It's a convenience thing, and how you were saying, oh, why is this elevator taking so long? People want to complain about it instead of appreciate that they don't have to walk up 24 flights of stairs or something.
Yeah.
So
it is what it is.
I think it's cool to talk about that a little bit because it's definitely one of those things that people use on a daily basis, and I have little understanding of how they work.
Can you imagine doing the World Trade Center stairs, though? I mean,
Oh.
even doing 6 stories here, because we do the stairs from time to time. Art does it more than I do. you feel it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going like, I don't know. There's probably some records, I feel like who can climb 100 flights of stairs the quickest.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's a
Without
record.
stopping or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, timed.
Absolutely.
I couldn't do it, I'll tell you that right now. I drink too much
I
beer.
wouldn't even sign up for it.
Well, and it has been interesting, and to brag on her for a minute, I mean, Megan got this job when she was like 24 as a project manager. So right out of college, she got this job when she was like 24. They're like, here, manage all these $1 million projects. And she's like, okay. And she's just done an incredible job, and it has been really fascinating to learn about what it takes in those construction projects, and like going through, and if you see new construction going on and you see the little things, you're like, oh, that's the elevator shaft, like that's the first thing that they're gonna put up. And so
I always take a picture and
hoist
text it to
way
Mego, like,
shaft.
is this you?
hoist way.
Are you on site over here?
Yeah, but she sends. I mean, worked on DIA, and did you guys sign the contract for the Broncos Stadium?
No, we're still working on talking through with that.
Yeah, but they did DIA. I mean, she's done a lot of really, really cool projects here and in Utah and
Just
Wyoming.
Tap my leg if she starts to go into something you're not supposed to say.
No,
She'll
you're
give
good.
me the eyeballs.
Classified information.
It's not classified as elevators.
But yeah, I mean, it's really, really interesting the amount of work that goes into it.
Yeah.
And with all the building, like Hugh says, we'll be like, is this you? Like, is this your project? Because a lot of them are. Like, especially with all the building and development that's happening in Denver, like a lot of them are her projects.
She is both fascinating and terrifying to ride in an elevator with.
She's like, ooh, this is a problem. We're
She'll
like,
tell you like what the elevator is, like generally, like it's what it's capable of doing, and then of course what it's not capable of doing or what it's not doing properly, and what might happen if this other situation happens.
It's all education.
If that thing happens, we're dying.
No, we're
So-
not.
so-
We'll be fine.
Escalators are the scarier ones.
Are they
She hates
scarier?
escalators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and
It's
they're
like
not
meat
as
grinders.
big as elevators. Well, they might be bigger in a different way, but like you're only going like 2 to 3 stories max on an escalator, to whereas an elevator is going to take you all the way. Just walk up the stairs. Like everybody likes a nice ass, and if you do more stairs,
Exactly.
then it's gonna be helpful for that. You know?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that.
Yeah, but escalators, I mean, they're just, the mechanics of them are terrifying. I mean, they are just like these
It's interesting.
wheels of, they are interesting.
Yeah. All the doom and gloom. But yeah, I do bring in a little doom and gloom. But
But
there's always some good.
healthy perspective on being on safety measures needed for when you go in.
Yeah, like Art mentioned, something that you just kind of take for granted.
Like if you have a
Tie your
dog going
shoes.
into an elevator,
Just
make
tie
sure
your
your dog
shoes.
goes in before you, not after you, because
Yeah.
then they get stuck. Be just being aware of that
And make
kind
sure
of
your
stuff.
shoes are kids around you. Like keeping an eye on kids, really on escalators. That's the biggest thing. Make sure their shoes are tied. Not monkeying around too much around handrails. Like it's also just having everyone who's using elevators and escalators of just knowing proper use of it and
Situational awareness.
yeah, and just like not being afraid to speak up if you see a dangerous situation. Like if you see a kid playing on the escalators or leaning over, like I will call out. I've had to grab a kid and like called him out, and parents were super nice, thank goodness, because I also had that moment of like, oh gosh,
I'm touching someone else's kid.
Yeah.
I'm touching another. Yeah, I was like, I can't. But we always empower folks to speak up and call out of like, hey, watch your socks. Something could get caught, because it's just, you never know.
Makes sense.
Well, it's
Shoelaces,
heavy
I could see
machinery.
that.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it is heavy machinery. I mean, like elevators and escalators, it's heavy machinery. So just like understanding.
You get caught in that, it's going to rip everything with it.
Yeah.
I've seen some videos on whatever the hell the site is, rotten or whatever the hell that is.
Oh,
People getting caught in machine, their hair just ripping out the
Oh, my
scalp.
gosh.
I've forgotten that. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I have
that-
long hair. I French braid my hair, and I stick it inside my shirt anytime I go on job sites, or I do braids and then I'll tuck it in a tight bun.
Yeah.
It's
Safety precautions.
yeah.
You just never know.
Always wear your PPE. And
Yes.
beware. If
Yeah.
things are moving or things are hot, don't touch it. Keep yourself contained.
Yeah,
But,
makes sense.
yeah, definitely not what I expected to be doing.
Hey.
Like,
It's an essential
For now.
business.
oh yeah.
She's doing
Yeah.
awesome with it.
Well,
too.
and it's easy to do things the wrong way, because at this point in humanity, like there's been so many trial and errors that like I feel like we're fortunate to be alive during this time, because whoever was like alive back in the day, like, is this mushroom edible, like, or is that poisonous? Like it got cataloged in some sort of way. So I feel like we have all these technologies and all these amenities that help our lives, but it goes unnoticed a lot of the time. So it's like, to appreciate those little things and like appreciate like our surroundings and environment. I guess that's the challenge of the week is let's appreciate all the little things. Let's appreciate our
Yeah.
environment and like notice what we're thankful for. Even just being able to like hop on a video call with somebody in a different country and like have that instant communication is all pretty cool. But let's just say that this happened. Like everything went down like with all the electronics and humanity was not bouncing back. Do you think humans could revert to the way that we were before, like doing everything on paper or like maybe even fax machine stuff? Like, do you think the current populace could go back and handle it the same way?
I think there's enough people who did do that currently that they could. Maybe give it another 10 years or 15 years. But even that, I mean, give it another 30 years because, you know, we all of us were, you know, used fax machines and that kind of stuff. We had that knowledge. So, you know, there's going to be a point where I think that would be hard. But I think for now, there's enough of us that still have that, you know, experience of, you know, handwriting your papers or stuff like that. Like we had, I mean, I had a student, Megan and I homeschooled for a while at some point. And so we had to fax all of our homework. We had moved and were faxing all of our homework because we were homeschooling and then every other week driving down. And so I talked to one of my students, and he's 13, and I was telling him about this part of my life, you know, and they're like, okay. But he's like, well, why didn't you just take a picture of your homework? And I was like, well, because that wasn't really an option. You had to take a picture, and then you had to go develop it, and I still would have had to mail it to them. Like, I had to put it in an envelope. I couldn't just text them a picture and email them a picture. And he's like, I don't understand. So that generation is going to would have a much harder time. But I was like, no, you had to fax it, and not all the pages stuck together, and sometimes you had to refax, and it was such a mess.
Yeah.
Just take a picture and send it. And I was like, that is a great solution for current events. But that was not a solution for me when I was 13 trying to fax homework. So it's a good question.
I would say, in general, I feel like humanity is extremely resourceful. So I feel like put us in any situation where we're not dead, and we'll figure out a way to get back to where we are today.
See, that's I agree with that.
It's a good way to word it. Yeah, that is. I mean, you know, survival of the fittest. There's going to be people that can't handle it. You know, I've always thought
learning
like,
curve.
Yeah, it's a learning curve, and then like who are you going to have on your team, right? You got to have someone that has a green thumb. Like if the power grid were to fail, right? If we were to truly talk about mass failure, right, and we're back to primal times, you know, foraging and growing things,
Hunters.
Hunter-gatherers, things of that nature. Like, you know, who's going on your team? You know, who are you going to work with? Because I think a lot of people are just not going to do well with that.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
I feel very fortunate to my father had rental properties when I was growing up, so I would always be renovating those and doing remodeling, and like I love having my tool bag. Like I have a couple different tool bags. Like I have like my quick one where I could almost do anything, and then I have like the big one with, you know, like the power
Special
saws and all that
tools.
sort of stuff in it. But to be able to like just go into a project and like know, okay, all right, we can kind of fix this, we can install it. I feel like that's something that almost everybody should know, and like it's almost like I think it's like Sweden or one of the Baltic states up there where it's like everybody, maybe Finland, but everybody serves, or even in Switzerland, like everybody is part of the military at some point. And then that way, I feel like that's so important to create that kind of knowledge, and that way a society everybody can do everything sort of thing. Even if it's not at an expert level, you could still get by. You know? So my weaknesses, my biggest ones would be plumbing and electric. Like those two things.
Electrical's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It's a
Shocked myself like 12 times working on another project for electrical.
On one project?
On one project. You'd think
In like one
you'd
day.
learn in one day, in like 4 hours. I shocked myself like 12
He
times.
texted me. I was like, are you okay?
I was validated though, because without telling you the spoiler where the I don't know why I'm looking at the microphones. You guys can see me through the microphones. Without spoiling the end of the story here, my dad came in after I told him what I thought was the problem. And he's like, that doesn't make any sense. That can't be the problem. So
You're
he
wrong.
comes in and he shocks himself 4 times in like 15 minutes. I'm like, thank you.
Okay.
So the ground was hot, which never happens. And so
okay.
there was some wiring something that was happening in the attic that caused the ground to be hot. It was touching the hot wire at some point. But so we ended up hiring an electrician to take care of that.
It's highly professional. Yeah, electric one's
After the
kinda
fourth
scary.
one, you're like, all right, that's enough of that. I remember when I was a kid once, like we were doing remodeling, and one of the like sockets was open, and I was like walking by, and I went to go like hit the light, but I wasn't looking, and then my hand went in between, and like just that feeling. It's odd getting electrocuted. It's like
Not electrocuted.
It's like a strong vibration.
It's like a buzz numb kind of like.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's odd.
I remember I was in 8th grade, and I was I was an idiot, and not much has changed. And so I took a paper clip and I put it in the socket, and I was like, I want to see what this is all about. And then all of a sudden, I felt like I looked over my shoulder like somebody was fucking with me, because I felt something.
Right.
And I was like, what the fuck is
It's not what
that?
you think it's gonna be.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. And then from that moment forward, I knew that I shouldn't be involved with anything electrical.
This is where I leave it.
Yeah, it's not for me. Somebody else can handle it.
Yeah.
Would you say plumbing and electrical are the two that you have a hard time with as well?
Me?
Yeah.
No, that's probably where I specialize.
Oh, really?
So we would make a really good team.
Oh, perfect. So you guys be great.
I love new team members of talent. Let's do this. Your next project, I'll give you 3 hours of free labor.
Okay.
3.
4.
Whatever.
When he needs electrical help, he's going to call you.
I'll stand around and
That's
watch
fair
that.
enough.
Maybe you'll teach me a little bit.
Swapping out
Okay.
a breaker.
Yeah. He's good at teaching.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking to basically a family of contractors, so
Yeah.
we're all in agreement with
So
the.
you're saying you don't need my services?
Nope.
No.
Oh,
No.
happy to.
We love labor. Labor's very helpful.
Yes.
But we're in agreement with the whole. Everyone should know how to do some basics.
Yes.
I mean, you don't necessarily need to specialize and become a master electrician after 5 years of working under somebody else, but you should know how to. I feel you should know how to change an outlet. You should know how to change some doorknobs and change locks.
Yes.
Maybe not rekey. That's a whole different
It's not that
thing. But like, you should know how to change your oil. You should
Change a tire.
Basic
change a
fundamentals.
tire.
Yeah.
Exactly. Some things
Seal
that-
in a toilet.
Yes.
probably
Yeah,
paying-
toilet. Yes.
Yeah, you're probably paying people a couple $100 to come in and do for you because they know how to do it. You don't know how to do it. You don't know how easy it is, but it's just quite easy.
Yeah. And that's not to say that if you're like, oh, I don't feel like doing it, hiring someone's bad. It's more just like, it's good, good knowledge to have that, it will help you at some point if you can't get someone, especially that's what's been happening the past couple of years where it's hard to get people to come out because everyone's so busy.
That
So it's just
process is
helpful.
very,
No, you're fine.
aggressive.
No, I was just making sure.
No, you're good.
You're a real jerk.
You didn't knife hand until just then, so you're fine.
That's fair.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah, it's good skills to have in the bank, I feel like. Especially like, talking about, with automobiles, right? Changing your oil, changing a tire. I mean, I feel like everyone should know that. I was fortunate to take like auto class in high school. That's where I became a gearhead.
Yeah.
Basic stuff. I mean, my brother is way more closer to ASE certified. Can really rip a car apart. And things are different now. I grew up in the old days with carburetors and now everything's fuel injected and electric. Computers, ECU modules. Things are changing in the automobile world, but being able to change a tire, I feel like, is an essential piece that everyone should be able to carry with them.
I don't know how to change my oil. I know I could. I mean, I can change a tire. I know I can get around it to probably change it and then take it somewhere to be like, is this good? Like, I'm not going to drive it for another 100 miles. You know what I mean? But you can get past it. Changing my oil is not something that I've learned how to do.
You just got to be able to get under it. That's the
Yeah.
that's the biggest obstacle. Is most people can't get under their vehicle to get to
That's
the
true.
drain plug.
It's true.
Yeah.
Or they like jack it up and then don't properly secure it.
Oh my God.
You just
Yeah.
speak to all my anxiety.
Yeah,
Like, just I'm done. Yep.
that could be fatal.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
done right.
Very much so.
Yes.
But car. I mean, say car. Don't know much about cars.
Right.
I
So
will be
do the
honest.
things that I talked about safely.
Yeah.
Safely.
Yes.
Don't just
Don't
like
just
try
Don't
it.
know how to do it.
Or watch 30 seconds
Give
of
us
YouTube.
a call. I'm happy to
Yes.
teach you for free labor. Blah blah blah.
Yes.
And that's always a good thing to
Do
admit
it
too.
slow.
I feel like as I've gotten older too, like if I don't know how to do something, I'm not going to say I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I think
that's
a lot
a
of people do that sometimes. Like,
biggest
oh, I
thing.
can do that, and then they end up making critical mistakes.
Especially if
hurting
they're trying to get a job.
Yeah.
They're trying to like look like they're really good, but if they don't know what they're doing, it's very dangerous.
That's that fine line of fake it till you make it. Like if you don't know what's going on and you're putting your life or someone else's in jeopardy, like you
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing
Just
it.
say no.
Why there's
Yeah.
codes.
Well, I mean, even if it's not like a hella crazy job, like you're literally just like shoveling a couple tons of rock into like a wheelbarrow and moving it to another section of the house. Like if you're doing it wrong for 4 hours, then you can like tweak your back weird or like
messed up.
there's so many ways to hurt yourself.
Did you say wheelbarrow?
Wheelbarrow?
It's a
Wheelbarrow.
It's a wheelbarrow.
A
Wheelbarrow?
Barrow.
No, there's no L.
Barrow?
It ends in OW.
Wheelbarrow.
It's a wheelbarrow. So
barrow.
Wheelbarrow.
and anyone that views the show
Barrow.
knows I have to give art shit. I'm gonna do it in front of you guys.
Yeah, no, that's
it's
fine.
a wheelbarrow.
It's fine.
Do you have
Wheelbarrow.
There's no L.
barrow?
Barrow.
It's not an
Barrow.
L.
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was a wheelbarrow.
A lot of people thought that,
Yeah.
including myself.
So that's right.
Until I learned that it was a wheelbarrow.
So I don't know why this always happens while I'm recording a podcast.
Because that people are listening.
Because I talk all the time, but like I always thought it was gun-ho instead of gung-ho,
Oh, yeah.
you know? And I learned that during a podcast too.
Who was that with?
I
John
think it was
Ekstrom.
John, yeah.
Where it's like nip it in the bud, not nip it in the butt.
I thought it was nipping
or
in the butt.
Yeah.
Hunger pangs, not hunger pains.
Really?
Pangs. Hunger pangs.
Did you guys know pangs?
No, but that makes a lot of sense.
does.
But no, I
What's
did not
what's
think
a
about
pang?
that.
Like a
It's
sharp pain.
Feeling.
Like someone,
Like
like that
an
stabby
a type
feeling.
of pain.
A pang is a pain?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
Discomfort.
it's the
Same
example
word.
you feel that in your back when you're
Yeah.
not properly, shoveling,
Shoveling.
and you have a
Yeah.
pang. It's that sharp like needle, like
Interesting.
Yeah, like
This
someone
is getting
stabbing
very
with a fork.
educational, guys.
Yeah,
Yep.
just so you know.
Really appreciate everyone's input here. Yeah.
alcohol education.
Well, that's
is great.
actually thinking about it. What it for dance? It's people call like Viennese waltz. A lot of people call Vietnamese waltz.
And what is it?
Viennese. So if you have
Viennese,
Vienna,
not
Vienna, not Vietnam.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
But and understandably, people think. I mean, they hear it and you say Viennese waltz really quickly, but just as like a quick, it is Viennese, not Vietnamese waltz. Which although I'm sure there is really great dancing done in Vietnam, but it's just this is specifically from Vienna. But actually, as a context, with you being a dancer man, so people understand that you also grew up doing construction. Like he has a landscape.
still do construction.
Yeah, he has a landscaping business. His dad's a contractor. But I feel like you're like, I thought he was a dancer, and he's talking about doing all this construction.
Yeah.
Moving about 4.5 ton of rock to put behind a retaining wall.
Yeah. So he still also has a landscaping
Speaking
company
of
that's
shoveling.
really
Yeah.
busy.
I've
And
thrown my back out like 4 or 5 times easy.
well, yesterday
Just
you
getting lazy.
about killed yourself running into a wall
Yeah,
or a window.
I got the wind knocked out of me for the first time in
That's a
years,
bad feeling.
like decades. Still not a fan.
Yeah.
It still
It's
sucks.
a weird feeling.
try it
How'd
again?
you do it?
So I was just we were testing the sprinklers because where we were digging, we nicked a couple lines. We were just making sure that we caught the ones that we saw and that making sure that we didn't catch any others, kind of thing. Because I do irrigation as well, so we were just making sure that basically we didn't have any unknown leaks. So I was manually turning them on because we didn't have access to the timer, and it's underneath, kind of in front of, like one of those bay windows where it comes out from the house or whatever, and then it just kind of squares off. Anyway, it's right on the edge of one of the corners. And so I was just manually testing everything, and when we were done, we found a couple more leaks, so I got up to go help fix them, and like rammed my back as I was standing up right into the corner of that bay window. And there's the first time I've gotten the wind knocked out of me in probably decades.
Since you were in high school, probably.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So it still sucks.
It's major. It demobilizes you for sure.
It does. I was on my knees and I was like,
You kind of wonder, you go into a little bit of panic. You're like,
A
am I going
little
to come
bit,
out of this? Okay.
because there's a moment where your
I don't
brain
think I'm
didn't
gonna
get in the
breathe.
air. So
Yeah. Yeah, when you can't
Not
breathe, I
gonna
mean,
make it.
my dad, knowing I've thrown my back out a couple times, was panicking too. He's
it's
like,
hard work, man.
"You okay? Did you paralyze yourself?" I was like, I don't think so.
Just give me a minute.
Yeah,
Let me work through it.
It's like, I can't talk right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, not yet. Just
Right.
give me one. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, life in general is I consider life to be like a tight rope walk. I said those words right. Tight.
I believe
rope
it's tight
walk.
rope
I'm not an English
walk.
major.
No, but there's like this balance in life that we always have to
Agreed.
maintain. And it's like you can go a little way, but you can't go too far, and then you have to like balance everything. Like even, my time with Kevin. Like I can't spend all my time with him,
No, he drives me nuts.
I mean, you could.
And I try, but I drive him nuts. Apparently, so
And I drive him nuts.
That's fair.
He gets sick of me. He's like, okay, Kev's in a mood. You spend a lot of time with somebody. That's just inevitable.
You just
I feel
know.
like.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm not good at it, guys. I'm just not. I get moody.
Oh, you speak my language here. Man.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I felt like we were on the same level here, Hugh.
Yeah, for sure.
I can see why you married this guy.
He was pretty great. But yeah, he has like
Handsome
a
lad.
time limit.
So
And I can either like see, it's like you can see the clock once I not knowing him, and Megan can see it now too once you get to know him, and it's like this like clock ticking down.
You start getting a
and
little
you start
impatient.
to
you
know
just get dimmer. The lights just
Yeah,
keep getting dimmer
that's
and
all.
dimmer, and then I just stop talking, and you're like, oh,
he's gone.
he's done.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So
you're fine.
We make a good team
That's great.
because she's able to like keep pressing forward, which just blows my mind.
Which you can recognize it too, and then able to work with it. Whereas, like, I
Exactly.
feel like a lot of people get almost offended or want to interject or maybe try to control the situation.
You mad, bro?
Yeah.
You mad at
Yeah.
me?
It's hard. I mean,
Oh
it
my
took me
gosh.
a while to learn and understand, and I think partially also people have had experiences with people who get like that, but it's because they're being passive aggressive or manipulative or angry. And that was my experience with a lot of people, especially with people I had dated, where when that was happening, it's because it was part of some big issue, not just because he just didn't want to talk anymore. And so for me, the panic was so real for a long time, going like, are you okay? And he's like, just stop asking me that. And so you just learn how to do it. And he's done a really good job of also recognizing when it's going on and going, okay, like there is that, yes, this is me, but how do I manage that feeling better? How do I understand when it's coming on better? Because it is still how you interact with other people. But yeah, it took me a while. The panic was like real high initially, and then I finally was just like, okay, you're good. I'm like,
reach capacity.
Yeah.
And like, just give me like an hour and a half alone. We can continue this conversation.
Exactly. So
90-minute reset. So I'm going to segue this conversation a little bit.
Great.
And like Kevin has said, this is a first, having 3 people across the table from us. And so I'm wondering, and actually not wondering, because we asked this to every guest, and in this case, guests. And the question is, and Mego, we'll start with you, is if you could give humanity one piece of advice so everybody could be better tomorrow, what would that piece of advice be?
Like, do better at, or just
like general advice, like
to make things better.
Yes.
Find peace.
So your words are going to help the entire
Live, laugh,
world.
love.
Yes.
Go ahead.
okay, like a tea towel, like
I
all
know.
the sayings.
If you want to think about it, I can go. I've got one.
Like, give people space and
Ooh,
time.
I like that one.
Space and time.
Space and time. Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah,
So-
terrific.
Simple and
Respecting
impactful.
boundaries.
Well, and giving time for responses.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's a really good one.
Like, that's a big one. Of may not be responding to someone's text message. It's not because you're not caring about them. Is that you have 30 different things you want to say, but you can't figure out what's the correct one, and it takes you 3 days to respond.
Even if you see like the little ellipses going on and then they stop, you're not just looking at the text message like,
I'm so glad they don't do
happened?
that for emails. I swear I probably lose like half my clients. I rewrite emails like 20 times. But yeah, like giving that space and like giving that time of like, some people don't fire as fast and need time to absorb.
Or they're firing too fast, frankly, and they need time to bring it all back down, which I'd say is
Yes.
more of a thing for you specifically.
she fires too fast?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like your brain's just going so quick, and there's so many things you want to say, and you have to take time to
And then I'll
coalesce.
say it
I was-
like all at the same time in 2 different languages. Yeah.
I was thinking that you were saying she was being offensive too quickly.
No.
Mego's like the least offensive person I've ever known.
I just
Listen
keep
to
it in my
that
head.
That's a good piece of advice. Nick.
No, I like that. Space and time, because, without those 2 things, like, you could feel like, there's too much pressure on you. And, like, physical space and, like, space to think with the time thing. Like, so we've never heard that one before. I love it. We're going to keep it moving. Girls go first.
I'm
Oh.
so for that.
Okay.
Go for it.
I mean, what first came to mind is be kinder to yourself. I feel like we have that conversation with
Be
people.
less judgmental towards
Yeah,
yourself. kind
be
of thing.
nicer to yourself, because I feel like if you're nicer to
Okay.
yourself, you'll be nicer to other people, because you can, in having empathy for yourself, you can have empathy for other people. So that would be mine.
I like
Solid.
Love it.
It's a good one.
Thanks.
It's healthy.
Thanks.
For sure. If you're not passing somebody, stay out of the left lane.
I love it.
That doesn't surprise
Somebody
me.
finally said it on Discussion Combustion.
I-70.
So with the 3 minds combined, you are getting space and time, you're treating yourself better, and then you're also getting the fuck out of the way.
You're a
Able
much
to go
better
fast.
driver.
Yeah, I'm
Get
totally
out of
fine
the way.
with hesitant drivers, like drivers that are just trying to be safe. They're just not, like, especially when you see like a family in like a moving truck. It's probably the first time they've driven something that big. I get it.
Yeah.
Don't be in the left lane. That's all.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just, ride that right lane.
Exactly.
If
It's
you got to throw the
safer.
4s on, do it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good advice right there. Yeah, I like that.
So
I get fired up by these drivers.
One thing I like to do to thank drivers that give me space without like opening up the window and throwing my hand out
Sure.
is you just hit the hazards
That's what I do.
for twice. So it goes
Oh.
thank you. So it's like click, click. And so
never
I
thought
do
of
that. I do that as
Do
a
you
way
do
of
you think they're
person.
picking up on that?
Yeah, because it's not like I'm hitting the emergencies and then like being like braking and like, oh, my car's messed up.
Yeah.
No, it's more like, thanks for letting me in, click, click, and then I keep going. And I feel like I feel like people understand what I'm trying to say.
I will now.
Well, and I
Yeah.
feel like if someone did that, I mean, of course, I do the exact same thing because in California on Highway 17, if someone lets you merge or whatever, you hit your hazards like that. It happens all the time, and it's as a recognition or a thank you. So I do that.
So I know truckers kind of tap the brakes sometimes.
Yep.
So I've tried that. In past vehicles, it doesn't work all that well because you
get really
just slow down when you're merging and not trying to impede traffic behind you.
Yeah.
In the Subaru that I just got, I don't know, a couple years ago. It's the first time I've had a Subaru. The brake lights are so
pretty.
sensitive. So as soon as you like touch it, just to tap it a little bit, the brake lights are on. So I'm able to just like tap it twice and it's fine.
Yep.
So that's what I do. But I'm gonna start that hazardous thing.
I think people recognize it a little more.
Let's normalize this.
I like
I
it. The
agree.
hazards is a good
Yeah.
one because it's just super easy. But that's great because, not many people do that, but I like that.
I feel like I learned that one time, like watching road courtesy video on YouTube or something.
Oh.
And I was like,
that's
I'm
nice.
implementing that.
I'm still old school. I like to roll the window down,
Yeah.
throw a
Just
hand
the
out.
wave
Yeah.
Or like when people let me in, they'll wave. You kind of see that, or sometimes they'll flip me off,
See,
maybe.
Less than
It's
that.
one or the other.
Less than
Yeah.
that.
You know what's happening.
Dude,
Yep.
it's like
Of
the
the
wave, or
waving?
like you'll
The-
do the
the
two
waves.
finger, like
Yeah, I do
people will
that
wave,
too.
and then you do like a two finger, like I got you.
Acknowledgement.
And there will be moments like on my way here where I used to drive a truck. Now I still have my Subaru, but I used to drive my truck, and you need space because it's not going to stop as fast as a
Doesn't
smaller
break as quick,
car.
yeah.
And I would give extra space to let people merge because it's hard on 25. Everyone gets really annoyed. And now it's like I give that space, and people go whoop, and nothing, and you're like,
They just take it like they're
Yeah.
entitled to
like,
it.
can you
Yeah.
just, we're all stuck in traffic together. We all are stuck looking at each other's
nice.
bumper stickers that aren't that funny after the third time of reading it.
That's true.
So like maybe just kind of like acknowledge, like,
I wave as often as I can. but
Yeah.
I'm also, thanks to her, trying to curb the other use of the hand.
Well, that's good. I'm
more
still working on
as
that.
well. She's still working on my dad too. My dad's pretty aggressive as well.
You just got to
Yeah.
give him a thumbs up.
Once we
Yeah,
have
thumbs
kids,
up, like, hey, you're
your
number
dad will
one.
do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do like the whole like the number 2 and then maybe stick my tongue out or something. But
Yeah,
I'll
I
do the
found
slow clap.
that slow clap's good. See, I was actually just gonna say that when somebody does something that I think is borderline compromising my safety or maybe somebody around me, I'll clap.
But
And-
you have to be a good knee driver at that point.
which I am.
Well, yeah, but anyone who's out there is not a good knee driver, and you're going to risk the slow clap.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no,
but,
just-
and there's times too, like maybe you're in rush hour, so you're in first gear,
Sure.
you're not going real fast, so you can let go of the wheel for about maybe 7 seconds, and do a clap, and generally speaking, over 85% of the time, people don't like that. They feel very threatened by that gesture, and usually I get the middle finger.
of course, yeah.
But it feels so good.
It does feel good.
It's so. I've done that with like.
Yeah, I mean, because I suffered from anger management or anger issues. I went to management for it, and I might be due for another session because I get tested out there every day.
Yeah.
I get
Oh,
tested
yeah.
out there every day. Art sees it. Sometimes I yell at him, but the road. I mean, man, that's where you really find yourself out there. I
That's
feel
my
like.
biggest trigger.
Oh, me too. I drive a lot during the day.
I wouldn't
You
say
know.
it's like, I'm waving for people to pull over so I can go
Mm-mm.
walk out of the car and,
Fight.
pretend to be a badass.
Yeah,
and
no, I'm not trying to do
beat
that
their ass
either.
or something, but it's definitely something that triggers me for sure.
So my grandfather gave my dad a great piece of advice that I've always remembered, and a fast driver would pass my grandpa, and then he would just say, and my dad was a kid at this time, he was in the car, and then my grandpa would be like, "See you at the next red light." And it's so true. It's so true because you really
Oftentimes it
don't
is.
save that much time driving
1 or 2
fast
minutes
and
in
stuff.
like
yeah.
a 15-minute.
Yeah, what is
trip.
that? It's not that
Yeah,
much.
Especially on
save
surface
time.
streets, you're not going to do anything.
It's really not going to keep you from losing a job or getting a job at that point.
Yeah,
But,
so true. But I think we've all been victims of that too. I mean, I've certainly driven fast. I mean, I'm kind of a grandpa driver for the most part. But like, if I'm in a hurry, I need to be somewhere.
Oh, we've
like,
all done dumb stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
I tend to put the pedal down, but then it's like, well, it's not really. I'm not really gaining anything here.
No.
So.
We have that feeling where you do something and then all of a sudden, like, you're at a stoplight and you see all the people and you're like, I know.
I was
That was
just an
dumb.
asshole.
My bad. Like, I get it. Sorry.
See, then you're validated once out of every 15 times it happens. And,
And it
that
works
validation is worth 16 times. So
Or you learn your lesson of like I was speeding, fresh out of college, and I was late.
sounds personal. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, well yeah,
Okay, it happened.
it was freaking not fun. But yeah, I was late going up to Boulder because I was mentoring with some kids for this business fraternity I was in, and I hydroplaned and took my
Scary.
Mini Cooper into the back end of an RTD bus at
oh,
75
shit.
miles per hour.
Oh, this story, yeah. I don't know why I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah,
That's
so
a big one.
That's pretty
I
intense.
lucked out.
Totaled a bus.
Totaled a bus. Yeah.
With a Mini Cooper?
Because the engine's in the
Cooper.
back.
Because it hit
Yes.
the engine.
Yeah.
No one was on the bus, thank God. But
Other than the driver.
yeah, other than the driver, obviously.
He was like 30 feet in front of that. So
Exactly.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's fine.
totally. Yeah, totaled the bus completely.
Totaled
Jeez.
it.
And the Mini Cooper.
Mini
Hit the
Cooper. I
bus with a
had
hatchet
chemical
or
burns
something.
on my hands and
Ouch.
whipplash, but that was it.
chemical burns from the
Chemical
airbag?
burns
Or?
From the airbags, yeah.
Oh.
Because when I got checked out by the paramedic on the firefighter, the firefighter rig, luckily they had a EMT with them, and yeah, she checked me out. She's like, yeah, it doesn't look like you're concussed, and then I ended up getting in the tow truck and going to Commerce City, and sat there at the wrecking yard for an hour or two waiting for my husband to go, then boyfriend, like come pick me up, and then that was about 4 hours later. I finally went. Like, we went to the hospital, and I finally got my hands washed and all that. So I had the chemicals on my hands for so long that
Oh, wow.
I ended up
Burn.
So it's that, like, now of
She's
I'll try and
changed her
start
driving.
speeding, but then it's like, what if
Comes with
like
the risk,
that
yeah.
next? Yeah. So it's like kind of that moment of like, I'll still do stuff if I don't feel safe and I need to like get around somebody, I'll do it. But like, yeah, it's that same thing of like that risk of like, is it worth it? Are you going to lose your job? Like, I wasn't going to lose my job. I was a volunteer with a bunch of kids from kids in Boulder. Like,
Yeah.
they're in college. It's okay if you're 15 minutes late. But
It's hard to think about that in the moment. Like, it's that split-second decision. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to haul ass. I'm going to go around this guy, whatever. Next thing you know, you're hydroplaning and you have an accident. And a lot of people forget, too, like, airbags deploy. That's a chemical burn. That's serious shit.
I didn't even know that
Yeah.
until just now.
Yeah. I've heard a couple folks tell me that. Like,
That's crazy.
kind of melts the top of their hands because your hands are on the wheel most of the time.
Well, that you get like the friction burn for one, and then the chemical
friction
burn
burn,
on
yeah.
top of it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's-
looked like a little lobster. It was great.
Not good. Not good. I mean, it's hard, because when you're in that moment, to let go of the steering wheel, because that's always something like in racing we talk about. You got to let go of the wheel if you think you're going to hit something. But it's so quick.
Usually
like you don't have
tense
time.
up.
You
And
tense
you get
up.
shoulder injuries.
Counterintuitive for sure.
It's counterintuitive because a lot of folks that hold on to the steering wheel and that grip it can break
Oh,
their
yeah.
wrist because the wheel snaps so hard.
Oh,
you know?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So I've never been in an accident like that
Yeah.
before.
That's good.
I did medical claims for a
thank
year
God.
with State Farm.
So you've heard it all.
Yeah, and they were in Alaska, so that was weird. We
Oh,
had
yeah,
like a
slippery.
bunch that and like people hitting a moose
Yeah.
Moose.
and like it coming
Wildlife,
through the car.
Yeah.
And like all sorts of crazy stuff happening. It was wild.
You hit a moose, it's not going to be good.
You duck. That's
yeah.
literally that. They talk about if you're gonna hit it, you actually
Like the antlers are coming through the
yeah, or
windshield.
like
the
their
feet.
their
The
feet
worst is
come
the
through,
feet.
and then if they're like panicking.
Because they're so tall,
Oh,
like their
and then
knees
they'll
not
are
to
like
yeah,
tight
not to
to
get
the
not to get
Holy
too graphic
crap,
about
that's
it.
scary
Or like
as
elk.
hell.
You can almost drive under
That-
if you had a load up on a Civic.
Yeah. And so you have to like you
Hard.
literally have to like duck to make
I always
sure that
forget
you're
how
okay.
big those creatures
Yeah.
are.
Massive.
There was one great though. It was great. This woman, she broke her arm loading firewood. She was in town. She was loading firewood, and said she was loading something into her car in Alaska. The car insurance covered it. But so she had a cast on, but she didn't want to drive back into town because it was in the winter. So she took her own cast off. They're rugged people, man. That was Alaskans were fascinating to work with. And this one guy's like, yeah, it's just a little bit of an injury, not a big deal. But then we got pictures of his car. And we're like, how are you alive? And he had a full back brace on. But he was like, that's fine. I'll be okay. And we're like, you're not okay. You're
Going to work
very-
on Monday.
Yeah, you're not okay. It was fascinating to work that. But yeah, but it is, I mean, it's always like, if you're going to actually, people who, drunk drivers actually are the least likely to be injured in an accident because they're all loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
And so we had several situations where the person was drunk and they were fine. Fortunately, the situations I dealt with, there weren't other people involved. Like they took out 50 feet of fence, but that sort of thing. But yeah, it was the conversation of like, and also don't take a hot shower. If you have whiplash, don't take a hot shower because it actually can inflame
Oh,
the
really?
muscles
I
because it
didn't know
swells
that.
it.
I didn't know that either.
So that's the idea of like icy hot, alternating between cold and hot, but you don't necessarily want to immediately take a hot shower because the inflammation can, when you're warm, you swell.
Yeah.
So that can actually cause, it depends though. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but it was kind of interesting to see that stuff.
We've
I
got
didn't
all the
think of that.
PSAs.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently.
I mean, that's good. This is good info, I feel like. Like,
you're
you can
gonna
apply
hit-
this to life.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
But yeah, that was an interesting one.
I just liked that we had super introspective, deep, meaningful answers.
For how to help
And
the
we
universe.
went with the one
Hello
to get
team.
out of the left lane and then started talking about driving.
Well, I think a lot of people can relate to that, though. I think a lot of people are like, that one.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one.
Well,
They're like, yeah,
this
be
is
nice.
how this is how conversations work.
Yeah.
And I've said this a bunch of times on the pod, but it's always good to reiterate. This is like a lost art. People sitting around a table,
Yeah.
no screens, getting to know each other, actively listening, and the three of you together have been so much fun, such a pleasure. And so if you're interested in dancing and you want to get involved in working out your body, Resolute Ballroom, these are the people that are going to bring you to that next level. So
100%.
where can everybody find you?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're at resoluteballroom.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram under Resolute Ballroom. We're off Arapahoe and I-25. We teach all sorts of partnership dancing. People think, it's like, that fancy stuff they do on Dancing with the Stars. Totally. But anything, we also do country, two-step, swing. We do salsa,
Latin
bachata,
dances.
merengue. I mean, pretty much any partnership dance that you can think of.
Even if you don't want to dance with a partnership with a partner, we teach you how to dance by yourself.
Yeah,
too.
and you don't have to have a partner to come in. Don't feel like, I don't have anyone to dance with. I can't come in. Please do. We have group classes on Thursdays. TG Dance Sport offers classes on Tuesday and Wednesday through our studio. But we'd love to, we believe, we're very passionate about what we think ballroom and dancing can do for people. It's not just like a business. It is truly a lifestyle for us. And
More
our
about
students.
the culture and the community.
Yeah, really, really into that. And our goal is, if people want to dance, we want to do anything we can to get them there and to make it
Help them feel
accessible to
success.
everybody. It's not just, you can't think, I'm not that kind of person. That doesn't exist. That's not real. That's all inside of our own heads of being that kind of person. So we
put
just
our-
love working with people.
Yeah. Can we put our numbers at the bottom of the page in the info
Oh, yeah.
area and stuff? Okay, cool.
Yeah, everything will be down in the show notes down
Perfect.
below. And I think it'd be fun to maybe, have Discussion Combustion show up for a little dance.
Oh,
Like
love
we
that.
dance
That'd be
together.
Really fun.
I mean-
you could do that.
Yeah.
You could
We'd
Yeah.
probably
dance with her and her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
dance
I think
with
that'd be
us.
more enjoyable than
We'll
dance
make
with
you dance with
I
each
think
other.
I would have a lot of fun dancing with you, Kev.
I don't really want to dance.
It'd be
with him.
bonding.
I was,
Yeah.
You don't have to talk. That's the best part.
Oh, really? I mean, maybe that could take our
You can just
Literally
I'll just
about
stare into your
nonverbal.
eyes the whole time.
It's all nonverbal communication.
Nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
Exactly.
nonverbal communication with doing dance. And I think it'd be fun. Come down there. Maybe we can we'll bring some cameras, have some fun with it, market
we'd
a little
love that,
bit.
I guess.
That'd be great. So yeah, again, we'll include everything in the show notes down below. If you're in the Denver area and you want to learn how to do dancing, these are the ladies and guy that you need to hit up.
Well, and I mean, to be perfect, thank you, and we agree with that too. But there's a lot of, frankly, there are tons of great ballroom studios in Denver. Denver is really lucky to be, have a lot of really
Much
great
bigger than
people.
you think.
Yeah, there's
the
a
community.
the
dance
community
community.
is actually much bigger than people realize. So look for a studio near you. If
That's
you're not
awesome.
in this area, look for a studio near you. There's a lot of really great, really passionate instructors in this area. And they're all really great people, and so we support. The community. We just want to support the community. So find someone in your area. It totally changes your life. And if you ended up hearing from us and you see us out there, let us know. But there's a lot you can find. There's a lot of great people. So find who works for you.
Yeah,
Find
and
who
if
works
we're
for
not
you.
close to you guys, but our number's super easy because it's just at the bottom of this YouTube video, give us a call. We'll recommend a couple studios that are close to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to give
That's a
you
solid
a
move
lot
right
of
there.
friends
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, supporting the movement of the body, even if it's not contributing to your business, that's how you know that y'all are selfless, and that's one of the best places that you could hold dearly to your own heart is like giving without expecting to receive. So I love that. Great energy, and you already know. Everybody out there.
You got to be good to yourselves. You deserve it. Thank you guys so much for being here. A lot of fun. Great to make your acquaintance and hopefully do a little dancing here in the future that we can document.
That'd be awesome. We'd love it.
Pleasure's ours.
Yeah, of course. Thanks again, guys.
Of course.
Huzzah!